Oh, hi. Welcome to my Facebook Live, Instagram Live event for my show, Be the Light. And I'm just going to wait just a couple minutes as people join up. This event is really a way of me talking about my work, because one of the things I have missed a great deal of is being able to chat about my work to the people who like it at art fairs. And because I'm not traveling at the moment doing that, I have decided that every few months I do a show and I present myself live and chat about the work. So last time I did this was in December and it was a big success. So I thought this year and this time I would do a show for International Women's Day. So cheers, first step off, celebrating women, International Women's Day. Congratulations, we made it through a year of hell. These pieces are the result of really thinking about that. And when I was watching the inauguration, I watched the amazing Amanda Gorman, this young woman, say a poem called Be the Light, or I don't know if that's a title, but there was a phrase in there about be the light. And it really struck me in the sense of that women this past year have sacrificed so much and have done a really hard job of balancing work and taking care of their children, taking care of themselves, and really pushing their way through it. And I wanted to create a series of pieces that were inspirational and celebrated this empowerment. And so that's where these series of pieces are about. And they are on sale on my website under the Live Art Show tab. And I'm having a sale for over the entire site for today through the 12th through Friday. So if you're subscribed to my email list, you can get a discount of 25%, which is a great deal. And the discount code will be sent to you once you subscribe. But the better piece of this is that all sales that happen, 10% of all sales will be going and donated to Nellies.org. And Nellies is an organization that helps with shelter for women and education opportunities. And so it's a piece where we give back and recognize that we really have to help others and lift other people up. So let's start, okay? The first piece I'm going to talk about is the piece behind me. It's called Launching into Life. And this piece is 36 by 48. It's done with vintage wallpapers and tissue paper. It was inspired by an old vintage postcard. And then there's sunflowers. So it's a very uplifting piece. And then embedded in there is the text, Happy Thoughts. Now, the thing about using text with me, it's always a little bit of an issue because I don't want it to be the first thing that you see. It's almost like this subliminal piece that becomes part of the piece. So it's really suppressed and behind there. And then the three women are jumping in celebration. This is the anchor piece to the show. It really represents how we have had to endure and step forth and be optimistic and bright and normal for our kids and our family and keep things going by being positive. And so I decided to start off with a piece that was really in that vein. Then what I decided was that I would launch a small limited edition print of the piece. So I'll show you a sample. The piece, it's 5x7 print and it's framed. There's only 20 of these pieces. It's sealed in the back and it's numbered and hand signed. So this one's only $250. And of course, with 25% off, it works too. But it's a smaller version and it really gives you the sense of the empowerment and inspiration. So this starts the show. We'll go into the next piece. So the next piece is called Journey into Happiness, and I'm just going to hold this piece. It's a little bit smaller. This is 24 by 24, and it is a vintage camper or trailer with lots of flowers in it. One of the things that's happened here, of course, is many people are trying to figure out how to have vacations and escape with their families. And so campers have been in high demand. And I just love that sense of escape and being within this moving home. I did it quite a bit as a child. And actually, when I first started my career as an artist, I traveled a lot in a trailer, went from art fair to art fair, set up a show, stayed in the trailer overnight during the duration of the show. So now I'm a little bit more spoiled and like hotels, but who knows? You never know, right? But what I love about this piece is how these large flowers really celebrate it, and it's got a beautiful surface and texture to it. Next up, we have another smaller piece called Here's Life. It's also 24 by 24. This piece has quite a bit of surface and texture to it. It was really inspired from an old photo that I found of this woman holding a child in front of her home. And it really speaks to this fact that, you know, life is about essence and the essence of family and your partnership. And if anything that we've learned in the past year is that which is in our home and close to us is really the most important. We can be on the hamster wheel and running and working, but really being home and taking care of those around us is really the most important piece. So this is really what this is about. It celebrates that moment, brings a little bit of a sentimental flavor to it, brings in some surface and text to it that's brought in from Life magazine, but it really captures what it's about. Okay, let's go on to the next. A little bit show and tell. So the next piece is called Give Yourself a Lift. And Give Yourself a Lift is 36 by 36. And I wanted to do a piece that had a little bit more of this sense of inspiration and empowerment. And one of the things that's happened to me over this past year is I've developed some bonds with different women who I knew kind of distantly, but because I was home, I was able to do Zoom calls. And then when we were able to gather with small groups, we would have fires in the backyard of different women's homes. And it's developed into this relationship where, you know, it's very accepting and we're all over our 50s, 50 or plus. And there's this sense that living life, it's short. And now it's time to really take a moment and really register those people in your life and say it's okay as women to do that. The text for the Restless set, of course, really is a reflection of where we're at and that we're all really restless to keep going and get going and be able to escape and be part of the bigger world. So it blends those two pieces together. And then it's got some parts of Singing in the Rain underneath it. So there's a woman with an umbrella dancing, and then Give Yourself a Quick Lift, which is this whole elevating and being positive and bright and optimistic, and through sharing, right? And being with other people. Next, we've got My Dream Lady. And My Dream Lady was inspired by Audrey Hepburn. And this is an Audrey Hepburn image from the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. What I do is I take a small shot of the film, stop the film, take a shot, and then rework it digitally, and then do a photo transfer of it onto the surface. Embedded within here are different images. So there's a woman over on this side, very faint looking, this elegant woman there. There's a rocker chick behind that's playing her guitar. And then there's the text from the poem Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. So it really is about perseverance and strength and pushing through and still maintaining the different personalities of who you are. That we're not defeated, that we continue our personality, even though we give over to so many different people, we give ourselves, we still maintain who we are. The great piece is the gentleman along the bottom, which is from an old vinyl record cover. And it's really a celebration of her. And this is one of the things I've really found in as far as feminism and dealing with trying to find equity, is that really, if we are not celebrated by men, then we don't get anywhere. So this kind of refers this a little bit to that in that way. But it's got this beautiful movement and blending of color and subtlety of images that come underneath. So it has all these different pieces. Okay, next we have planning for the future. Are you all planning for the future? Because I am. I can honestly say that for the past few months, I have not wanted to plan for the future, because every time I think beyond the next little while, I'd get scared. I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work, because the art fairs are gone. It's this real shift and pivot of my life. And so if you look too far ahead, you kind of get a little freak out. But this piece really has a little bit more of a meditative side to it. It was inspired from an old postcard of hotels. I have hundreds of postcards that I have found from the 1950s and 60s of pool parties and hotels. So it's this couple sitting here. On the left is the text from the poem Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. And it really speaks to the sense that normal, average women are phenomenal and we're fantastic. And so it really has this validation piece to it as well. It's got a beautiful surface and texture to it, because it's got all different types of vintage wallpapers underneath it. And it's got this beautiful whimsy, right, with the flowers that are done in oil bar as well. So it's got a life to it and still a quietness and a calmness to it. And the next one I'm going to show you is a piece called Time to Roll. It has been sold, but I thought I'd show it because it's part of the show. The piece sold yesterday when I first announced it to my email subscribers. And that's one of the benefits of being a subscriber, is that you get a little bit of a head against everybody else. But this piece is really about roller skater girls, and roller skating is something I did when I was a child or a teenager. And I remember going around and around and around in this kind of disco thing, and it was a great time to meet everybody. And so this image I've had for quite a while, and I finally kind of got a sense of, okay, let's think about in this show how women keep going. How do they keep doing their stuff that they love? We're isolated, we're quarantined, so there's not a lot of roller skating there. But there is this sense that you have to think of the moment and think of what gives you pleasure, right? When everything's stripped away, what gives you pleasure? And that's what this piece is around, right? It's time to roll. The next piece is about escape. And this piece is about travel. It's called Travel Far and Wide. And it's 30 by 40. It's got this real beautiful contrast between the figure and what's behind it. And behind it has these lights that are inspired from in Paris around the Louvre Museum. There are these lights, these stanchions that you can walk down. So it gives this beautiful depth. There are old postcards, handwritten postcards underneath it. So there's a sense of travel. And then there's the text, Time to Change, which is from an old vintage ad. So the story is really about escape. And I really feel like we're just on that edge, right? We're just about, okay, I can feel it. We're going to go out there. So this piece really celebrates this moment, but it also really speaks to how we've had to pivot, and that a lot of women have had to change. They've had to shift, and that's good. That there are some things that are good where we have to take a moment and be fearless and courageous and step into a new space and hope and assume that it's going to be good. And that's what this piece is about. So one last larger piece. This piece is called Where We'll Go. Where will we go? And that's the question we've got that we're asking ourselves. I am really interested in how things will change, what will be kept with what's happened to us for this past year, and how will it move us forward into the next step. And this is, of course, it's 3 women on the bike. So it's together and stepping into the future and the unknown. It's got a beautiful abstraction and paint underneath, and then the anchor of the girls. So there's a lot of movement and a lot of life. So now it's really a lot of what's going on is how we are shifting. And we've had to deal with a year of just maintaining life. And now we're looking at what's next and how this work reflects that. I've got a few pieces I'll show you. This piece is Lovely Day. And Lovely Day is a sailing piece. And I'm sure many of you don't know, but I am a sailor. We have a boat and we sail quite a bit through the summer. And it has an old vintage image from the 1940s of women sailing. There are not too many, back then there wasn't too many women who were sailing, so it's pretty tough to find these images, but it's also very upbeat, kind of fantastic, kind of inspiring, kind of light and life to it. And then I've got, this piece is called Mission Accomplished. And it really speaks to how women share information and kind of irony and sarcasm. And they go, okay, are we going to get where we have to be? And in this time for International Women's Day, as far as we talk about equity, that also has it. So it really speaks to how there is hope and future, and we can still manage, and we've accomplished getting through it. Then this small 6x6 piece is called She's Free, which is pretty relevant to the next few months, and breaking out of the birdcage and running down the street. Not naked, but running down the street. So I think there's gonna be a lot of travel. And it just kind of encapsulates this kind of, this is an image actually that is an old vintage ad of this woman jumping out of a bird cage. So it's really quite a unique image for that. And then the final image in my little show and tell show is called It's Time to Do It. And it really is like the diving board of life, that we are going to step into the next phase. And we've gone through it and we've done it and we're going to make it happen. So this is it. They're all 6x6 small pieces. I encourage you to subscribe to my email list if you haven't. And that way you'll get the discount code to get 25% off. Also know, and I'm going to reflect again on this again, is that all pieces that are sold, this is prints and all the originals that are on my site, 10% of those will go to Nellies.org. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I had a good turnout on Instagram and on Facebook. And let's keep it up. Happy International Women's Day. Good on you. Have a good evening. Thank you.